All through the night, the men who master horses slept, and the gods slept too, except for Zeus. No gentle slumber seized him, and his heart was wondering how he could glorify Achilles and bring death to many men beside the Greek ships. So he formed a plan to send a deadly dream to Agamemnon, the son of Atreus. His words flew out. Rush to the swift Greek ship's destructive dream, and go inside the tent of Agamemnon. Convey precisely what I say to him. Tell him he has to arm the long-haired Greeks at once. Now is the moment he can capture the Trojan city with its spacious streets. The deathless gods who live on Mount Olympus no longer disagree with one another. Hera appealed to them and changed their minds. Disaster has been fastened to the Trojans. Hearing these words, the dream dashed off at once and quickly reached the swift Greek ships and found the son of Atreus inside his hut. Immortal sleep was swirling all around him. The dream stood by his head and took the form of Nestor, son of Neleus, the elder whom Agamemnon held in greatest honor. In this man's likeness, the divine dream said, "You are asleep, great son of Atreus, the skillful horse lord, but a man who forms plans for the people who rely on him, who has so much responsibility, ought not to sleep all night. Now hear my voice. I am a messenger from Zeus who loves you and pities you from far away. He says that you must arm the long-haired Greeks at once, because this is the moment you can capture the Trojan city with its spacious streets. The deathless gods who live on Mount Olympus no longer disagree with one another. Hera appealed to them and changed their minds. Disaster has been fastened to the Trojans by Zeus. Keep this in mind. Do not allow forgetfulness to seize you when the honey of sleep releases you." So spoke the dream and left him there. Then Agamemnon's heart imagined things that would not come to pass. He actually believed that he would capture the town of Priam on that very day. Poor fool. He did not know the plans of Zeus. The god intended to bring pain and grief to both the Greeks and Trojans through fierce fighting. The voice the gods had sent to Agamemnon suffused his senses when he woke from sleep. He sat up straight, put on a fine, soft tunic newly made, and wrapped his big cloak around himself and tied his sandals to his well-oiled feet. He slung his sword, adorned with silver studs, across his back, took his ancestral staff, which never ages or decays, and went beside the ships among the bronze-clad Greeks. The goddess Dawn ascended high Olympus, portending light to Zeus and all the others who live forever. Meanwhile, Agamemnon ordered the clear-voiced heralds to assemble the Greeks with flowing hair. They gathered quickly. He made the valiant counselors sit down beside the ship of Pylon, Lord Nestor, then shared his clever strategy. "Now listen, my friends. I had a marvelous dream that came through the ethereal night while I was sleeping. In its appearance, figure, size, and shape, it looked most similar to godlike Nestor. It stood above my head and said to me, 'You are asleep, great son of Atreus, the skillful horse lord, but a man who forms plans for the people who rely on him, who has so much responsibility, ought not to sleep all night. Now hear my voice. I am a messenger from Zeus who loves you and pities you from far away. He says that you must arm the long-haired Greeks at once, because now is the moment you can capture the Trojan city with its spacious streets. The deathless gods who live on Mount Olympus no longer disagree with one another. Hera appealed to them and changed their minds. Disaster has been fastened to the Trojans by Zeus. Keep this in mind." With that, the dream flew off and was gone, and then sweet sleep released me. "So come on now, we must call the sons of Greece to arms. But first I shall test them myself with words, as is the custom, and order them to row the fleet away. Meanwhile, you call them from the other side and try to hold them back." He sat back down, and Nestor, who was lord of sandy Pylus, stood up and spoke among them with good will. "My friends, great lords and counselors of Greece, if any other Greek had told us this dream, we would declare it false and turn away. But this is someone with a claim to be the best of all the Greeks. So now, come on, we have to arm the fighters if we can." With that, he led them from the council meeting. The leaders with their staffs in hand stood up and walked behind the shepherd of the people. The troops rushed out as swarms of bees come rushing out of a hollow rock, more always coming, and fly and cluster on the springtime flowers, myriads here and there. So many swarms of men from ships and huts were marching out among the wide beach to the meeting place. Among them, rumor burned. She brought the news from Zeus and coaxed them on. The crowd assembled. The place was chaos, and the ground beneath them groaned as they sat. The noise was deafening. 9 heralds shouted at them to restrain them, to make them hush and listen to the leaders, whom Zeus holds dear. At last the troops sat down and stopped their noise, submissive on their benches. Lord Agamemnon stood up with the staff constructed by the craftsman god Hephaestus. Hephaestus had given it to Zeus, the noble son of Cronos, and Zeus gave it to Hermes, lord and guide who once killed Argos, who gave it to the man who whipped his horses, Pelops, and Pelops gave it in his turn to Atreus, the shepherd of the people, who left it to Thyestes, rich in lambs. Thyestes passed it down to Agamemnon, to hold and rule in Arpegalo and all of Argos. Leaning on this staff, Lord Agamemnon spoke.